Within hours of the attacks, scores of Red Cross volunteers and staff mobilized to establish one of the largest disaster operations in history. Thousands of trained volunteers converged on key areas around the country to assist the families of victims and others impacted by the attacks. This was no ordinary disaster, but the spirit and commitment of volunteers saved the day.
In many cases, many people still in denial would turn down our services because they thought that then meant that they were guaranteeing that the person had been lost. And there was still so much hope. This one woman, when I was talking to her on the phone, and she said, "My husband drives an armored car, and I know he's okay. They're going to find, this armored car underneath the rubble. They're going to pick up some stuff, and he's going to be in there." And you can't deny them that hope, because maybe it would happen. But the reality is that almost none of those people made it home.
Everyone that we came across were in some type of deep grief. They were, some of them were stoic, some of them were openly emotional, others were still very deep in shock.
One Sunday afternoon, I was helping out at the crisis line that was coming in. And there was a young man who was obviously in very, very severe emotional distress. And this was a young man, 27 years old, who had been working in the basement, the mall level of the South Tower, and was in the building when the building started to collapse. And he ran down to the subway stations. And really that's all he can remember. He woke up sometime on September 13th or 14th in a hospital. He has no idea how he got out. The stress was so traumatic for him that he was literally, he'd lost his job, he'd lost his emotional stability. He was living in Harlem, basically living in a rat-infested apartment on a mattress, and he was being evicted. And that is one situation where Red Cross saved his life.
I was driving the emergency response vehicle, and basically I picked up 50 dozen donuts a day and coffee, served coffee. 1,000 people a day came through the lunch line.
That contagion, that's what we call when we take on other people's pain and we're working with them. And in a normal situation, I deal with it here all the time, but I can pace myself. There was no pacing there. It was, I'm done with you, next. And this would go on for 12, 16, 18 hours a day.
Well, I think they were doing a marvelous job, and I was extremely proud to be a part of it. I think we were most generous when, on this last assignment, it was, the motto was, try to find a way to say yes.
When you checked in as a National Red Cross Volunteers, you get a badge that says no. It's no with a strike through it. We say no to nobody. Customer service was the key issue there.
I didn't have a client that wasn't very appreciative of everything that we did for them, and surprised. They were really surprised that we were able to do as much as we did for them. They were pretty devastated, and we did help them a lot.
So many Americans reached out to help those in need. And in the days after September 11th, as the reality of what had happened sank in, Idaho's Red Cross volunteers were pushed to their limits. That's coming up next.